Uh, Philip, uh, we are both quite long in this flower business, and we know that flower business at the early years builded us person-to-person business, and a personal relationship is very, very important. And it's a very beautiful side of this flower industry, but in my opinion, from another side, is also slowly killing us because people can call you 20 times per day and just until they get what they needed. Do you believe that now the flower industry is slowly preparing itself to get changed to more to the IT side, to get to more to the programs, to the proper softwares? Because as you know that younger generations, they have a completely another vision about how business should work, and they're not going to pick up the phone on the Sunday night and etc. So this is mostly our generation, because not because we are bad or we are wrong, but we grow up in such conditions, because many years ago, there was also MSN and the fax, and there was no WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever. So in your opinion, is the Kenyan market slowly ready for this changing and becoming more progressive, IT software orientated?
Oh yes, oh yes. I would say that the wave of change is here, and things are really changing. Because if you check back then, the market share for Kenyan flower farms was more to the auction, and this matrix is changing now. A lot of farms want to sell direct sales, direct marketing. Of course, this comes not only with the just selling to the direct marketing, but also comes with challenges for specification, precise instructions from the customer. So if we check the move now that with the fact that farms are changing slowly from auction to direct sales, it is coming with a full package of a change of the mindset that the customer wants the orders in a particular specific way. I explained that if you compare now and then, the focus now for the marketing is changing. A lot of farms are now more focused to splitting their share to direct marketing, as opposed to before. Many farms, the market share was 30% direct marketing and 70% auction. In all farms I have gone through, even in Kenya, the number of farms increasing 100%. Direct is increasing. A lot of farms are now migrating from auction to direct marketing. Now, this calls for change of the way of doing business, because the auction is more of just packing and sending to the auction, and then the process for the auction. Now, with the change of the focus to direct marketing, you find now the farms have to be more specific. They have to pay a lot of attention to the customer's requirement. For example, the way to bunch, the way to label the box, the specification in terms of head size. And this calls for more attention, more different focus, that you have to be available for the customer all the time. You just mentioned that before in Kenya, the way of doing business was not like normal way. The relationship, your personal relationship also matters. But now this is changing, that the way of doing business has to be now more professional, such that customer details are followed. You have to respond to customer on time. If, for example, a customer calls a particular farm and there's no response, then of course the repercussions are predictable, that the customer will go to the next farm. Nobody wants to lose a customer just because you are not responding to phone calls or you are not responding to emails. So the way of doing business currently is now more professional, approach than before. So yes, it is changing. It is changing the way of doing business in Kenya to be a more professional approach.
Philip, there was a tendency some time ago, because I think that I have been in Kenya 8 to 10 times, or maybe even more. I remember before the COVID, when I was in Kenya, there was a tendency that many of the farms and the packing houses, they were busy with packing the ready bouquets for the their customers around the world. Is this tendency still going, or is going to be less, and people still prefer the classic box with the flowers?
I think, yeah, I agree with you. It was on trial basis. It was on trial basis that, of course, the bouquets can be assembled in Africa, or rather in Kenya, because it is cheaper to assemble the bouquets here. But lately, I don't see that happening much. Flowers are living just with the normal bunches. A little number of bouquets are done in Kenya. And I would say the reason is because I would say failure to satisfy customer requirement. So yes, as I said before, the move for direct marketing is changing things, and you can see the response from the customer. If the customer doesn't get what he or she wants, the reaction is very prompt. They switch to somewhere else. So
Yes.
for now, I think it's not being done now in Kenya; it's done elsewhere, and that is the reason why, for example, as Fataki Packing Kenya Limited, we have come in to bridge the gap between the farms and the customer. What we are now, we've identified the laps between the customer satisfaction and what farms can do. And that's now basically what we are doing. I hope very soon we will attract more customers, and we can do the bouquets composition here in Nairobi as Fataki Packing Kenya Limited.
Yeah. We spoke with your colleagues a few days ago, and I said my opinion that you opened this business right on time, because many of the customers, they have very high and special demands, and this packing house can precisely help them to achieve their goals. But in the same time, if you look to this business from the perspective as a farm, what you think in the portfolio is the part of the flower brokers in the farm and the direct customers? Are farms still mostly working with the flower brokers or with the direct customers, from your personal opinion?
The farms are more focused in the direct customers, because they say that, of course, if they do direct marketing, the returns, it's more profitable, because then they can plan their cash flow. They have fixed prices, as opposed to doing the auction, because the auction, yes, it can be very active, and then it can also go down. There is no consistency, and because of that, the focus of farms is now more indirect sales.
In the early years of the Kenya flower industry, there was a tendency that farms ask and propose to the customers to have a standing order, because it was a way to secure the number of the flowers, varieties, and days of the week. Through all these years, and when the production is increased, is it still practicing to make an agreement for the standing orders, or market has enough, or market has enough of the production?
Yeah, a very good question, because then you also find in Kenya, it depends from farm to farm. It depends from farm to farm. I would say some farms are more professional. They stick to their agreement. If it is a standing order, it is fixed. Other farms, well, it's a standing order, but then you also have to remind them that this is a standing order. And then there is another group of farms whereby it is a standing order, But then if they get a better deal, then they forget slightly about the standing order. So it's a combination of the three factors: the farms that really professional or really respect the standing order, such that even if the market is so strong, they are still loyal to the standing order year round. And another group of farms, oh really, yes, the standing order is still there, but you still have to remind them that there is a standing order to be supplied on a specific day of the week, then they will supply. And then there's another group of farms in Kenya whereby, well, it depends in the market. If the market is better than what they have, better deal, then of course they are not loyal to the standing order. So that is the situation in Kenya. That depends from farm to farm.
Yeah. Through all these years of Kenya business, I remember the early days. There was a gentleman, Sadiq Samadov. He came many years ago to Kenya and to develop and to, let's say, connect the demands of the customers in Eastern Europe with the way how in Kenya they're doing the business. I even know that in Kenya there is existing the flower sort flower variety rose with name Sadiq, and it's very interesting that how industry paid back for all these efforts and years that he invested in the build a proper connection between the customers and the farms. But if you look now to the situation, is there more varieties in coming years we can expect, or market is settled with the existing varieties?
There is a lot of new varieties coming on board. And of course, I call some are very niche varieties to the sense that even some farms, like for example, Manfieldsbach, Julieta, Gazelle, all these kind of new niche garden-like spray roses are becoming now more popular, and even some farms block so that they can really produce just like no other farm can produce. Ever Red also is also another red which has been appreciated by the market. So from where we sit, we see a lot of change with the new varieties. And now as Pataki, we also want to show the customers that we can really repack the niche varieties, make sure that because it's an expensive flower, we make sure that we pack in a very good box so the customer does not lose the value for the flower, and they receive the flower as fresh and in good quality as from the farm. So yes, there is a lot of new varieties, and these things are changing. Things are changing pretty fast in the flower industry with the coming new varieties.